What's up YouTube, I'm Mike, and today I unfortunately have some terrible news to share with all of you. Over the Christmas holidays, Bob and I both miraculously came down with COVID together, and Bob didn't make it. It's one of those things, what can you do? So, in memory of Bob, and in order to carry on this channel, I'm going to be picking up the torch and carrying it for him. That's right. Because Bob is no longer with us, unfortunately, I'm going to have to start doing all of the steroid cycles. So today we are talking about the most recent cycle, which is my holiday cutting cycle, which consisted of test, tren, and fucking COVID. That's right. This is the first time I've contracted this disease. Somehow I managed to dodge it for like 2 years now. I didn't get the original COVID or the Delta. To be honest, I don't even know what the fuck I got. What I do know is that I went to a Christmas party on Christmas Eve, and the following morning I woke up feeling like I'd been run over by a fucking truck, aching all over, 101 fever, a little bit of vomiting. I thought for sure I had the flu. Tried to get a COVID test. They were sold out. The at-home tests were sold out everywhere, and it was like 3-4 hour lines to do the drive-through thing. Luckily, some of my family members who were at the party, who also ended up in the following days getting sick, were able to get tested, and all of them had COVID. So apparently, that's what struck Bob and I, and I made it. So there you go. I wasn't vaxxed and I survived. I am here to tell you, however, that it fucked me up. I was really sick for like 10 days or more. I ran fever for 7, 8, I think my wife said 9 consecutive days. The body aches, the misery. I was just popping like Tylenol cold and flu or whatever it is, to just keep the fever under control and the aches and pains at bay. The worst part of the whole thing, and why I'm calling this my, fucking Christmas cutting cycle, is because that shit knocked my appetite completely out. I went, I think, 4 days with 0 solid food. I was drinking bottles of Gatorade, but I mean, at a maximum, we're talking about 300, 350 calories a day. Over the course of the 10 days that I was really sick, and then the following 3 days where I was trying to get my feet back underneath me, I managed to lose 12 pounds. Now, I know the math doesn't add up, that that's all actual, muscle or fat, because I think that it's mathematically impossible to lose that much tissue in that short a period of time. But I was in a severe calorie deficit. Now, obviously, when you're laying in bed all day, your resting metabolic rate, you're not burning nearly as many calories as if you were going to the gym. So, in order to try to hold on to as much tissue as possible, and in the absence of Bob, I kept running the test and the tren at the doses that we were working with before. So, 500 milligrams of test and about 350, 400 milligrams of tren. My hope was that because I was in an insane calorie deficit, that whatever calories I was able to put in, the tren would help to partition, and that I could hold on to as much muscle tissue as possible. I measured my biceps a couple of times, and miraculously my upper body seemed to maintain the majority of the mass that it was carrying. Likely because my upper body carries little to no subcutaneous fat. The weight that I did lose was all in my abdomen, my ass, and my quads, and I lost a solid inch on my quads in 14 days. So, to anyone who's been into bodybuilding for any length of time, you know that it is really catastrophic to deal with. I had pushed my weight from the previous illness back up to about 193 in the morning, 196, 197 in the evening with fully visible six-pack abs. So I was feeling really good about that because I started at 200 with little to no abs. So the test and tren cycle that we've been running for the past 14 weeks at this less is more dosing protocol was sufficient to create some recomp on my frame. And I know it's kind of hard to make any real judgments about the cycle. That the cycle was intended to test the hypothesis that less is more and that I could continue to grow on lower doses. I did not see the growth that I was looking for. And I think that this will be almost certainly the last time that I attempt to bulk on less anabolics than whatever I grew on the previous time. I do not believe, for me personally, at my age and at this stage in the game, that the less is more approach is going to work for me. So about 2 weeks ago, I pulled the plug on the trend. I ran the trend all the way through the end of the illness. When I started feeling better, we were at that 14-week period anyway. I was running low on the bottle, and it just felt like, what's the point in trying to extend this? My body's clearly beat up. I was coughing up a lung. I'm constantly blowing. I must have gone through 8 boxes of tissues, and the cough for me was the worst outside of the horrible, the aches and pains that come with the fever. Everyone else that got this illness had a much easier time getting over it than I did. My wife fared far better than I did, and she was not vaccinated. My dad got it. He was vaxxed, and he did good too. So I suspect that having taxed my system with all of the anabolics over the course of the last several years, and certainly this cycle, could possibly have contributed to why I struggled a bit more to cope with the illness. I suspect that I probably have elevated liver enzymes at this point, and certainly high blood pressure, and my lipid profile is out of whack. So you could make the argument that the anabolics sort of put me into that high risk category. What we know about COVID is that it tends, people who are obese, for example, or have other comorbidities, tend to fare worse when they get the illness than people who are really healthy. And despite the fact that I may look healthy, you put a significant strain on the body when you push the doses of anabolics that have been pushed. So, but regardless, I survived, and I'm here to tell the tale, and the channel is going to continue. So that is effectively the end of this cycle that included the test and trend. I have to get into my log to find out how many weeks it actually ran. I think we were at the 14, 15 week mark. But again, it's, for those of you who've been following the cycle from the beginning, it's really just been a disastrous cycle between the vomiting in the beginning and then the whatever illness I had a few weeks ago and then the COVID at the end. I mean, it's really a fucking waste, and it's really difficult, honestly, to cope with. When you work hard to get your physique to a certain point, and then you get struck down by an illness and you lose so much weight so rapidly. In the last few days that I've been able to get back in the gym, my stamina's in the toilet. Surprisingly, my strength is good for, all things considered. And then once you get a nice pump, you start to see things that are coming back, and I feel good about my physique. When I mention that, if you haven't already, please follow me on Instagram. If you're looking for, during any of these cycles, if you want to see the most up-to-date progress photos and videos, you're going to find that on Instagram, because it's a pain in the ass to cut into all these videos. So if you haven't already, I'll put a link in the description. Please follow me on Instagram, and you can get more of the day-to-day updates as to where things are, what kind of things are going on with cycles and progress and shit like that. I'll warn you that my Instagram gets littered with my political views, so if you lean left, just be prepared, because I don't. So there you have it as far as the cycle goes. Now for the future. I'm going to go into a cruise phase. I've already started to taper my test down. I'm supposed to cruise at 200 milligrams of test a week. That's my TRT regimen. But I gotta be honest, it's difficult to drop to that dose when you've gotten used to running such high doses of powerful anabolics. So I'm tapering off to 300, and we're gonna see how that goes. The objective of this cruise is that I have got to get my cholesterol, my lipid levels back in line. The liver enzymes are gonna be fine. All of the other biomarkers are fine. But I've got to get that cholesterol under wraps so that we can go into the next cycle, which is almost certainly going to include either tren or Primo, Anavar, Masteron, you know, a lot of DHT drugs, and those are very hard on the lipid levels. So I've got to make sure that I get that under control. If I can do that on 300 milligrams, that would be great. What I wanted to do was cruise on a lesser amount of test and keep a little taste of the trend to see if I could recover my, if I could recover my biomarkers with any amount of trend. So I was thinking, you know, like 200 milligrams of test, 50 milligrams of trend, but I think I'm gonna err on the side of getting my biomarkers back to square one, and then maybe we add in a little trend or add in another anabolic and see how that affects the blood work. So there's gonna be a lot of experimentation going on this channel in the years to follow. I've gotten to a point where adding more muscle to my frame has become very difficult, and it requires a lot more anabolics than I really feel comfortable with at this age. Now I say that now because I'm coming off the end of a long cycle, and then in fucking 12 weeks of being off, I'll be ready to cram everything under the sun back into the system to grow some more. So it's always a roller coaster, especially at my age, when you're weighing your health and your longevity versus I want to be 225 pounds peeled to the bone, and you know, it's a struggle. So the other thing that I want to advise you of, there's been some people in the comment section that are looking for more details on the sexual related side effects of the tren or any of the anabolics. Somebody who's wanting to see the sex dungeon, somebody wanted some details on how I managed to get so much sex out of my wife. I would really like to produce that content, but I hate having to pull punches. Like, I just want to be completely transparent with you guys, give you all the gory details, just let it flow out, because that's the way I like to present myself. And YouTube being a family platform makes it sort of hard to be as candid as I want to be. I would like to show you some of the stuff that we have. It's not a dungeon, but some of the sex toys we have, all of that. I would like to be able to be as transparent as possible. So what I'm considering doing is starting an OnlyFans page and producing the videos that link to this channel there for free. So I'm not trying to get paid on that content. I will produce those videos for free. That make it easy for any of you guys who are following this content. If you want to see the darker side of things, the dirtier, more detailed side of things, I can put it on that OnlyFans page, and I have to worry about YouTube you know, freaking out for the fetishistic behavior that goes down in this house. So, and then who knows, if the OnlyFans thing grows, then who knows? We'll see. Maybe there will be some exciting content on there that I do put behind a paywall, but obviously I'm gonna have to get my wife's blessing on that first. So there you have it. We'll just see what comes of that. Still gonna have a lot of content coming up. My wife started hormone replacement therapy herself. We're thinking because she's perimenopausal. So I'm gonna have some content going into everything that she's experiencing, trying to balance her estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, and the possibility of a little Anavar getting into the mix. And so she may be coming up on a bulk of her own, so we'll be doing some videos on that, probably get a little bit more gym footage, and there's going to be a series of videos going into the details of all of the anabolics. I know a lot of people have covered this, but I kind of want to put my spin on it, share my personal experiences with the anabolics that I have used, and then give you all of the details, because I get a lot of contacts on Instagram for guys looking for me to give them cycle advice. And due to the laws where I live, I'm not entirely comfortable with that. I've been getting a lot of people looking for sources recently. Maybe that's something that can be addressed safely on OnlyFans. So that would be another excuse for you to jump over there. If I do create that channel, I will definitely link it everywhere and notify you guys. But follow me on Instagram so that you can get you can get the most current updates on that. When I disappear from YouTube because I'm sick or something's going on, I'm always on Instagram. So again, follow me there if you want to know what the fuck is going on when sometimes I have to disappear because life happens. So there you have it. Join me in mourning Bob's loss. He served his purpose, and I think the content production from this point on is going to be a lot easier. now that I've picked up the torch and I'm going to carry it for him. So please stay tuned to the channel, and as always, we'll see you on the next one.